Holly Cotton here. And first of all, if you guys follow me, you know that I am huge, huge, huge when we're talking about mental health awareness, wellness, all of those things. And also my new initiative, which is about empowering our adolescents. So I am so excited about my guest today, Chantel Rountree, because she lines right up with your girl's new book series where we're doing affirmations and speaking life into our adolescence and affirmations and all of that stuff. So I have Chantel Roundtree, who is the founder of the Dream Center, which is a renowned youth focused arts organization dedicated to empowering young individuals through dance. So welcome, Chantel.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. Thank you for having me today.
Yes, yes. Okay. So, one, I love that aspect of it. I can't wait to talk about that. But I think that it is so important for us to have these multiple definitions of wellness and things that align with having a holistic lifestyle, and also how that needs to start at an early age for the development of that artistic side, also to have an outlet for whatever stressors you have in life. I think it's so important. So go on first and tell us about the Dream Center and how it came about.
Okay, so the Dream Center is, of course, my dance studio. Our brick and mortar location was opened in 2018. Ultimately, my business started I've been dancing my whole life since I was 4 years old. It was always my dream to have my own dance studio. Before I opened the brick and mortar, I started out with a dance camp. And so that was in about 2015, 2016. I just rented out a few places. We had dance camp. It was an all day camp. We played games. We learned dances. We had a show at the end. We did affirmations. We did arts and crafts. It was just really a great program. From there, I started doing some um, weekly classes, like maybe twice a week, renting other places. And then in 2018, the opportunity presented itself to have my own space. And so I kept walking forward in faith. And here we are now, 6 years later, still, in that same location. So it's basically the Dream Center was built on the fact that when I was a kid, dance is what showed me what I was capable of. And so that is the same thing that I'm trying to do with the youth, where even if they don't grow up to become dancers, they're growing up to believe in their full capability that they have. They're learning how to bring out the full capabilities that they have within them and just learning that everything is possible for them if they can, believe it and if they work hard to achieve it. So that's the premise of the Dream Center. We teach ballet, tap, jazz, hip hop, lyrical to ages 3 to around 15 years old. And we have a performance team, we have recreational classes, and it's just amazing.
Okay, so one of the things I know, as whenever we're talking about discussion points about it, because I know some people are like, okay, so another dance, okay, another something for kids. Okay, why is this important? Why is this, why should I care about this? But whenever we're talking about what you're doing as far as implementing dance, let's talk about dance and mindfulness. And so, can you tell us how dance serves as a vehicle for mindfulness and how that allows individuals to channel their energy?
Okay, that's a great point. I would say, as far as mindfulness, dance is one of those things where you have to actually do it. So, there's no phones in dance class. There's not that many distractions. It's really like an art that just takes place at that present moment. And of course, when we have dance class, we're doing it over and over again. But ultimately, when you perform, it's that one time. So it's mindfulness in itself because you have to be present to do it. Um, and then I would also say just it takes, like all of you, it takes your physical strength. It takes your thought process for you to, remembering the movements and knowing which way to go. It takes the effort, the strength where you have to kind of pull out some energy even when you might be feeling tired. So I think it's just really a whole body experience, and just the simple act that you have to use your whole body to do it makes it mindful because you have to be present in that moment to do.
Mm, okay, and so another part of the dance is whenever you're talking about adolescents and children, and you're talking about them in that instrumental time frame where they're actually boosting their self-confidence. And so how do you feel that the process of learning to mastering dance steps and dance moves contributes to a sense of building accomplishment and confidence?
That's like one of my main focuses is confidence. I would say that just, in the beginning, sometimes the movements can be difficult or you might not get it right away. But because we have this weekly class that we keep going through, you can see yourself progressing. And, and we celebrate those progressions. We also kind of like are there with them every single step of the way as they are getting better. And so it's like, I think it's just watching yourself progress, especially if you stay there for more than 1 year and you grow up. You can really see how, wow, when I was 5 years old, I could only plie, but now I'm 10 and I could do these leaps. And so I think it's just like it's kind of like you really have to channel this inner mindset that keeps you going even when it's difficult. And that's like the one thing I try to help the most, because you get that moment where kids are like, I can't do this. And you can see it, like you can see it all in their face and they're ready to give up. But that's like the moment as a teacher where we can really like step in and help them break through that and move to the other side. And I find like in that specific moment when they're like, I can't do this is too hard, I give up, and we can get them to keep going and keep trying, that's where I feel like that self-confidence really gets built the most.
Hmm. Well, let me just tell you this, Chantel. For me, learning dance moves is very stressful. I have been trying to learn that Tamia um, dance,
Yes.
line dance for a long time, and it stresses me out. I don't feel confident. I actually don't feel an emotional release. I feel even more dorky trying to learn this dance moves. So, how do you sort of navigate that? Because again, learning dancing it's something new. People have the phrase two left feet, all of those cliches. So, how do you, especially with kids, figure out how to navigate that for those that maybe don't feel comfortable or maybe they're confused? How do you help them where they aren't feeling overwhelmed and it's actually that emotional release? It's fun.
Mm. I would say, I think it's ultimately is like breaking through the barrier that's trying to stop you from experiencing the fun part of dancing. So in the dance studio, it's kind of different. A lot of kids, they will really like to dance, which is why they join the dance studio. But I had the opportunity to teach in elementary school as a special. So I taught the whole school, kindergarten to fifth grade, boys, girls, people who like to dance, people who don't like to dance. And so I have, dealt with that. And what I usually do first is just try to identify how they feel about dance and why. And so I think like really getting down to like the root of why is it so stressful? Why are you so scared to do it? And then kind of like if it's you're scared, breaking down like, well, what are you scared of? And once you can get through that initial barrier, then the openness happens. And so it's usually like just a guard. It's like a guard that's up. And when you have someone that's like, oh, that's okay, I can help you do it, or it's okay if it's not perfect. That's what I love about dance. It's like, it always makes people laugh, even if you're doing it really well or you're just doing it for fun. Like, usually, people smile. It brings like a happiness inside. So I think it's ultimately like breaking through the root barrier of what is causing someone not to want to dance or feeling uncomfortable when dancing. And then once they like feel safe enough in that situation or in that atmosphere, that's when I usually like, if I really face the barrier, like I'm kind of like a up front, I'm going to find the barrier immediately and I'm going to get through it right now. And once you break it, like the openness that I've experienced from kids, boys that were like, no, I hate dancing, to like, wow, look at what I made up, or look, they're like ready to raise their hand and go volunteer to get on stage. So I feel like it's really just like some mindset fears or insecurities that kind of come up about dancing that we got to get to the root of it. And once we get past that, then the openness to dance happens.
Mm. Well, I still can't figure out that Tamia line.
Hey, girl, you got to come visit. You have to come visit me so I can get you
I
right.
was just about to gonna say I'm gonna have to come and visit the Dream Studio because I can't get it. I can always get the first thing, but boy, once you put a turn in, I'm going. Like the turn messes me up. I can't do it. I don't know how I was a cheerleader because I don't know. Uh,
I think it's
so let me ask.
practically it's like you need the tools to like help you to remember. So whether that's saying the words out loud, practicing the transition from one move to the other, like there's like some practical tools that can really help in those situations ultimately.
Well, I'm gonna get at you because they are
Okay.
not gonna stop me
Yes.
from learning this dance.
Yes, ma'am. You are correct. Yes.
It's gonna be so old by the time I figure it out. Like the Cupid Shuffle, like you know how you saw, like you see people Cupid Shuffle. There, I did Cupid Shuffle when God, like, because I'm from Louisiana, so it was like a club song back when it first came out, and now I see kindergartners doing it, and I'm like, oh, look at that. So that's gonna be the Tamia line dance.
Mhm. That's okay.
So whenever you're talking about how you transition from excuse me, how you transition from having an idea, a passion, something that you love to do. And like you said, you actually taught dance in school, you actually were teaching dance before you came up with this program in your own studio. So rewind and tell us how you actually put that into a business model where you went from I love to do this, I'm doing this for fun, to now I want to actually create a studio and start doing this.
Okay, so if we go way, way, way back, when I was like in sixth grade, I used to like do competitions and stuff, and I told my friends that I'm gonna have my own kind of dance is what I used to tell them because there's like all these different versions of ballet, and there's like Vaganova and Kashedi, and I used to say I'm gonna have my own style of dance called Chantelova. That's what I used to tell my friends, and so ultimately I ended up naming my LLC Chantelova LLC. Kind of from that thing I thought of when I was in sixth grade. But as far as like when I actually turned my job as being a dance teacher into a business, it would be I was working at a dance studio and they had, summer camps that they were getting ready to do. And I've been to a lot of camps in my life. Maybe that might be why I was inspired to do this. And I presented them like a proposal for how they should run a camp. I was like, it should be all day. You should have all the teachers come at a certain time. They can do these kind of activities. And I presented it to the dance studio. They allowed me to do it for 1 week on my own, not like my full plan. And then, it went pretty well. And so then as soon as I left that studio, the first thing I did was start that camp idea that I had presented to them previously. And so I will say my business really was built on that camp. So I probably had camp for 3 or 4 years before I actually got the brick and mortar location to start, dance classes for a whole season. So I think it was just, it really built from the idea and just the idea of creating a place for children where it's like a meaningful experience where they're really learning something. Because, parents do have to go to work, but what are your kids really doing when they're not just at daycare, they're not just playing, they're not just running around, they're really getting a full day of meaningful arts experiences and connecting with people and making things. And so that's really what it was built out of dance camp, and it just grew from there.
So tell me about the process of getting that brick and mortar built and completed, because I know again there's a lot of people that have businesses out of their garage, out of an office in their home. There's a lot of ways that you can actually have a company, and they want to have an actual, like you said, a building, something that has their name on the outside. So what were some of the steps that you had to figure out and that you had to implement in order to get that from the actual, the dance camps to actually having a building where you're saying this is my studio? What were some of the steps that you can help other people to implement?
Okay, so the first step was when I wanted to have my first camp was like I need a space. So the first place I knew of was people that had Zumba classes or like Herbalife classes. Those are the places I was familiar with. So I contacted them, told them what I wanted to do. They gave me a kind of like a sublease rental rate to use for a certain amount of weeks. And that's how I started. It was pretty easy, to do that version, not that much overhead. And then as I did that for a few years, that's when it was kind of like, man, I wish I had my own space. I wish I had, like I started saying, I wish I had a different room for this, or I wish I had a TV. Like, I started saying that. And so the way I got my space, basically, I wasn't really looking. I happened to go to this donut shop that was in a plaza that had a space for lease, peeked inside. I was like, wow, that looks nice. So I called the number so I could go inside. Went inside, and as soon as I got inside, I was like, wow, like I can see like, oh, this can be the dance room, and this can be the front desk, and this can be the lobby. And from there, I just started the process. And I will say, I wish that somebody had told me what I'm about to say before I did this so that I could, know the steps. But basically, I, contacted the landlord. They told me what was needed. You had to fill out an application. They needed a business plan. That's not something I had ready. So I had to go work on that and create a business plan to present to them. And then from there, it's mostly you pay the deposit, you get the keys, and then there's a lot of things that need to get turned on. You got to turn on your utilities. You got to get inspected by the fire marshal. You got to do things with the county. So it's those little tiny steps where you have to go to the county, go to the city, get permits, get approvals. But mostly in the studio, it was in a good format. I only moved one wall. I kind of took one wall from here and turned it to the side, and then just really painted and made sure I had a dance floor and a mirror. So it was kind of pretty easy space. I'm actually in the process of getting my next space right now. So I'm doing all these things again. But really it's just finding a space. I would say try to find a space that is more so set up in the way you want it to already, so you have less things to build out. And then just being aware of the city and the county requirements as a business in that state or county or city. So that was really the steps. Basically having some savings so that you can have enough to build out and to start your first few months. Because I was starting from, I had camp, but I didn't have a main customer base yet. I kind of started from scratch and built from there. So, but those are the logistical part of the steps, at least.
Well, I think that's great advice because I think a lot of people don't think that way whenever they have the business idea in their head. They're like, oh, so they see a restaurant that closed down and they're looking for a space in that plaza or in that area. So they go and they're like, oh, well, there's a restaurant here that went out of business. But yeah, now you got to change that into whatever your
Yeah.
business is. So unless you are doing a restaurant, that may not be the best space to,
Right.
to rent out.
Right. To
But
turn
you don't
around
think
into
like
something.
that. You just like, oh, there's a space right here. Let me
Yes.
go and get this space. And now you have some fryers in the back. You have to figure
Get
out what
rid of,
you.
yes.
I love that.
That's a good point.
Great advice. Now, you did mention something, and I'm huge on women empowerment. And I love to see women that are coming up in the entrepreneurial world that are doing things that they, like I said, they started a business where they were cooking in their kitchen to now they actually have their own restaurant. So I love seeing those transitions. And you said something that I think that a lot of people don't talk about, and you said a business plan. So just for the people that are watching, because I want people to hear your story, but I also want them to be able to be educated and inspired by your story as well. So, can you go into telling us, because like you said, they were like, you need a business plan, and you said, oh, who? Oh, what? What is that? So, how did you figure out what a business plan was, and what were some of the steps that you had to take in order to create a business plan?
That's a really good question. So of course, I went to the internet, started searching business plan templates, and I actually came across I think it's called, it's like an organization called ACE. I think it's something that's local in Georgia, and it helps entrepreneurs. And on their website, they had something called Dream Builder, and it was it was a women's entrepreneurial organization, and they had a little portal or a little course, and you went in it, and it had little modules, and it told you with examples of like people's businesses. Like Sarah has a flower shop, and it literally broke it down that deeply to me. It would tell me about it. It would give me a little quiz, and then it would have a section for me to write my part of it. And so I basically just like hunkered down for like 2 nights in a row all night long and watched this course in portal and filled out the information it asked me for. And then at the end of it, it took all of my answers and put them into my business plan. And so, I mean, it was kind of difficult, especially not having done it before, especially like, estimating some of the numbers that I wasn't sure about. But it basically just walked me through step by step what each part is. I put in what I thought it should be, why I want to do this, what my business going to be based off of, and it created my business plan for me. And so, my advice would be to find something that is going to like help you write it, but also teach you about it. Because that's the thing. I could have got a template and just filled it in, but maybe not have understood a lot of it. But by the time I was finished with this program, I knew exactly what I was talking about, and I had this document to present. So that's kind of just the right thing fell in my lap for me to create my business plan. But yeah.
And I was going to say that as you were talking, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh, that's actually the great way to do it, because now you're learning how to do it so you can create another business plan, or you can do more things, or you can elaborate on the original one rather than just a template where you're typing it in. And I know a lot of people that are now using like Chat GPT for stuff, or those AI programs. And it's like, yeah, they wrote it for you, they did everything, but now you have to continue to go back. Like, you actually didn't retain any knowledge, you didn't earn any knowledge. There's nothing. You just typed in the thing and it gave you the business model, which I can't hate on it, because now you can
Yeah.
go in there, create me a business plan for a
Right.
business, this and this, and it's like blah 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 blah. So anyway, but yes, I digress. I'm mad
There was
that
no chat GPT when I made that. So
I know, that's what I was just about to say. I'm so mad that this new generation has so many things. I'm like, look,
right.
we had a pen and a
And we had
paper.
to write it down ourselves. Yes.
You had
Yes.
to write it down.
But it really made me think about a lot of things. Like, you have to think about, why did you make this business? Who was it for? What is the demographics of this area? What programs are you offering? What, like, how much does it cost to start it? How much are you going to make in your first? What do you project you're going to make? Like, it really made me think through a lot of things that I hadn't thought of before I even, went to present it to the landlord. And then also it ended up, that same business plan ended up allowing me to get an investor that loaned me money to build out and start my business. So,
Okay, so business plan, important. Love that. So I also wanted to ask, because I know that when people see stories of people that actually had a dream and they implemented it, they carried it out, they're living the dream now. There's a lot of times that we don't see the struggle or an obstacle that was in front of them that they had to get over, some hurdles that they had to overcome. So, excuse me. So, whenever you think back in that process of transitioning from, again, like we said, you were like, okay, summer camps now. Okay, let me lease out a space from some sublease, from sublet, whatever the word is, from someone else's company. Now I want to do my company. Were there any obstacles that you overcame and you were like, wow, I know you said that I wish someone would have told me this before I started, but were there any obstacles, or are you going through any obstacles now? Like, what were some of the things that were challenging to you that you had to overcome?
I would say when I first got the brick and mortar, the biggest challenge was I kind of felt like I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I had to fight that thought, like, every day. Like, like, literally writing affirmations down on my board that says, you have more than enough knowledge to run a dance studio. Like, I literally had to fight those little scary thoughts in my head that were like, you can't do this, you don't know what you're doing, you don't have enough money to do this. So mostly it was like that mindset of like, just wanted to run away, but like, never mind. But and then money was one, but that business plan allowed me the opportunity to kind of get the funds that I needed to start. But really, it was mostly just that mindset of, I can't do this, this is too hard, I don't know. And Literally, I used affirmations that I literally wrote some on a piece of paper. I said them to myself. They were like on my mirror. I even wrote the address down on my mirror because I was like, I'm going to get this one, get this space. And I also joined some like coaching programs, some masterminds that have, I'm still in a lot of different programs or organizations that have, groups of dance studio owners in them. And that is what helped me stay empowered. So I had a coaching program that was teaching me what to do. I was around other dance studio owners who were encouraging me, who I could ask questions to. So that's kind of what the affirmations and those groups is what really helped me just maintain the mindset that I can do this. Like, is this new? I'm not sure, but that was the biggest obstacle was that. And then, of course, when you first start out trying to get enough customers to pay all your bills, that was kind of a struggle. And then I was a teacher at the same time as I was opening this. And so it's like, you can't always have those kind of conversations with everyone. So I was kind of feeling like really alone in this like place where I was trying to, build a business from scratch. And that was a little uncomfortable and scary. So really it was just a lot of mindset and just having the right outlets to deal with those things so that they did not win over me.
Right. And whenever you're talking about having a full-time job and you're also talking about having coworkers, you know how the elders used to say you can't tell everybody your business. it's it's almost like that. It's not only is it because they speak negative thoughts into your business, but also because a lot of people don't want to see you win and they don't want to see you pass them up, or I'm still here and you actually believe in yourself enough to gamble on yourself, but now I'm still here because I don't have that same want or desire. So it's almost like a undercover jealousy of sometimes whenever you have corporate or being in when I say corporate, I just mean any type
Yeah.
of job
No,
that's
it's
not
insane.
entrepreneur. So yeah,
Yeah.
they be hating on you. They be hating on you.
Right. And it's like you can't complain about, not having enough customers to your coworkers at work. So
Yeah, and they're like,
it was just a hard.
hey,
Mhm.
and I never try and shade people that find comfort in that. All of my friends have regular jobs. Yeah, that they go to work in the morning or they come home at 5 and they're happy. They're content. Not everyone wants to have an entrepreneurial life. And that is a-okay because it's stressful on this side. I could tell you
Yeah.
that.
Yes, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So, okay. So tell everyone how they can, one, what can we do to support you? What can we do to assist with what you're doing, paving the way, being the change? Then, how can people find you, subscribe, all of that great stuff? So, first, how can we help you be better? What is it that you need from us, whether it be a share or whatever, for free or whatever? And then also how people can find you and get in contact with you.
Okay, so you can support us by, definitely sharing, getting the word out about our business. It's called the Dream Center. It's located in Tucker, Georgia. Um, we have a spring recital that's coming up on May 19th at Berkmar High School. So if anybody that's in the Atlanta area, if you're available to come out to our spring recital, it's called Building Your Canvas Through Dance. That would be an awesome way to support. Come and see all the hard work that our students have been working through this season. What else? Um, Social media, yeah. So we are on Instagram at Dream Center Dance. Also, that same handle for Facebook at Dream Center Dance. We are also on TikTok, but we're kind of working to build that platform. So Instagram and Facebook is definitely our main platform at this time. Our website is www.thedreamcenterdance.com. You can also reach us by phone at 404-590-3559. Yes, so that's what we're doing. We're actually getting ready to expand into a larger dance studio. Hopefully this summer. We're in the process of that. We have a performance team as well. So if you're in the Atlanta area and you're looking for some dancers to perform at your local events, we do have a performance team that will come out and perform. They're called the Dancing Dreams. What else? I think that's it. Just share, like, come out and support our performances if you can. And if you need any performers, definitely contact us.
Okay, cool. I have to actually go to Atlanta in May, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna have to see if it aligns with that May 19th. I'm gonna have to see because I might come see y'all and
Yeah,
support you.
let me know,
That will
please.
work
You
out perfect if
definitely,
it was that weekend. I don't
yeah.
remember the date, but I do remember I have to be in Atlanta for something in May. So who knows? Maybe everything will work
Yes.
out. So, I will also have Chantel's all of the links in the website, everything that she said as well in the podcast notes for you guys who aren't watching the video and who are listening to the audio. No worries. Scroll down to those podcast notes. I always have clickable links in there as well. So that way you can also reach out to her as well. So, thank you, Chantel, for sharing your story. I love hearing that. Thank you for all of the advice that you gave. I think it's really important for us as women to empower other women. And I love whenever women can tell their story and give advice to other women as well, because my hashtag is whole team winning. And I think it's so important for us to stick together and realize that we can all be doing the same thing. We can all be doing different things no matter what. There's room for all of us to be great. So I love, love, love you sharing your story. So that is Miss Chantel Rountree, you guys.
Yes, thank you so much for having me today.